Citizens are subject to be stopped in the street at any time, and the examiner, who might be in plain clothes, in various uniforms, often in a bathing suit or pajamas, sometimes stark naked except for a badge pinned on his left nipple. After checking each paper would stamp it. On subsequent inspection, the citizen is required to show they properly would only examine and stamp the cards of a few. The others were then subject to arrest because their cards were not properly stamped. Arrest meant provisional detention. That is, the prisoner would be released if and when his affidavit of explanation, properly signed and stamped, is signed by the assistant arbiter of the explanations. Since this officially hardly ever came to his office, and the affidavit of explanation had to be presented in person, hello. I'm making an audiobook. Yeah.
You're making an audiobook?
I'm making an audiobook.
What are you reading?
I'm reading Naked Lunch by William Burroughs. You can start here.
Right here?
Yeah, please.
Released if and when his affidavit of explanation, properly signed and stamped, was approved by the assistant arbiter of explanations. Since this official hardly ever came to his office and the affidavit of explanation had to be presented in person, the explainant spent weeks and months waiting around in unheated offices with no chairs and no toilet facilities. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, of course. To be presented in person, the explainer spent weeks and months waiting around in unheated offices with no chairs and no toilet facilities. Documents issued in vanishing ink faded into old pawn tickets. New documents were constantly required. The citizens rushed from one bureau to another in a frenzied attempt to meet impossible deadlines. All benches were removed from the city, all fountains turned off, all flowers and trees destroyed. Huge electric buzzers on the top of every apartment house. Everyone lived in apartments. Rang the quarter hour. Often the vibrations would throw people out of bed. Searchlights played over the town all night. No one was permitted to use shades, curtains, shutters, or blinds. No one ever looked at anyone else because of the strict laws against importuning, with one or without verbal approach. Anyone for any purpose, sexual or otherwise. All cafes and bars were closed. Liquor could only be attained with a special permit. Liquor so obtained could not be sold or given in any way transferred to anyone else. And the presence of anyone else in the room was considered prima facie evidence of conspiracy to transfer liquor. No one was permitted to bolt the door, and the police had to pass keys in every room to the city, accompanied by a mentalist. Do you want to read some?
No one was permitted to bolt his door, and the police had pass keys to every room in the city. Accompanied by a mentalist, they rush into someone's corners and start looking for it. The mentalist guides them to wherever the man wishes to hide: a tube of Vaseline, an enema, a handkerchief with cum on it, a weapon, a suspect. The most humiliating search of this naked person, on which they make sneering and derogatory comments. Many a latent homosexual was carried out in a straitjacket when they planted Vaseline in his ass, or they pounce on any object, a pen wiper or a shoe tree.
Thank you very much. And what is this supposed to be for? It's a pen wiper. A pen wiper, he says. I've heard everything now. I guess this is all we need. Come on, you. After a few months of this, the citizens cowered in corners like neurotic cats. Of course, the Annexia police processed suspected agents, saboteurs, and political deviants on an assembly line basis. As regards the interrogation of suspects, RUNWAY has this to say. While in general I avoid the use of torture locates the opponent and mobilizes resistance. The threat of torture is useful to induce in the subject the appropriate feeling of helplessness and gratitude to the interrogator for withholding it. And torture can be employed to advantage as a penalty when the subject is far enough along with the treatment to accept punishment as deserved. To this end, I devised several forms of disciplinary procedure. One was known as the switchboard. Electric drills that can be turned on at any time are clamped against the subject's teeth, and he is instructed to operate an arbitrary switchboard to put certain connections in certain sockets in response to bells and lights. Every time he makes a mistake, the drills are turned on for 20 seconds. The signals are gradually speeded up beyond his reaction time. Half an hour on the switchboard, and the subject breaks down like an overloaded thinking machine. The study of thinking machines teaches us more about the brain than we can learn by introspective methods. Western man is externalizing himself in the form of gadgets. Ever pop coke in the main line? It hits you right in the brain, activating connections of pure pleasure. The pleasure of morphine is in the viscera. You listen down into yourself after a shot, but C is electricity through the brain, and C-yen is the brain alone, a need without a body and without feeling. The C-charged brain is the Zurich pinball machine, flashing blue in the first stirrings of hideous insect life. The cravings for C last only a few hours, as long as the C channels are stimulated. Of course, the effect of C could be produced by an electrical current activating the C channels. So after a bit, the channels wear out the veins, and the addict has to find new ones. A vein will come back in time, and by adroit vein rotation, a junkie can piece out the odds if he don't become an oil burner. But brain cells don't come back once they're gone, and when the addict runs out of brain cells, he is in a terrible fucking position, squatting on old bones and excrement and rusty iron. In a white blaze of heat, a panorama of naked idiots stretched to the horizon. Complete silence. Their speech centers are destroyed, except for the crackle of sparks and popping of singed flesh as they apply electrodes up and down the spine. White smoke of burning flesh hangs in the motionless air. A group of children have tied an idiot to a post with barbed wire and built a fire between his legs and stand watching with bestial curiosity as the flames lick his thighs. His flesh jerks in the fire with insect agony. I digress as usual. Pending more precise knowledge of brain electronics, drugs remain an essential tool of the interrogator. It is an assault on the subject's personal identity. The barbiturates are, of course, virtually useless. That is, anyone who can be broken down by such means would succumb to the puerile methods used in American precinct. Sarcopolamine is often effective in dissolving resistance, but it impairs the memory. An agent might be repaired to reveal his secrets, but quite unable to remember them, or cover story and secret info might be inextricably garbled. Mescaline, Harmaline, LSD-6, buprenorphine, in many cases, induces a state approximating schizophrenic catatonia. What's up, man?
Make my blood flow! Make my blood flow! Hey! Got no business questioning a thing! About the meaning of the big town! Madness! Chaos in the brain! Make my blood flow! Make my blood flow! Hey! Got no business questioning a thing!
Schizophrenia, mescaline. LSD-6 are back-brain stimulants. In schizophrenia, the back brain is alternatively stimulated and depressed. Catatonia is often followed by a period of excitement and motor activity during which the nut rushes towards giving everyone a bad time. Deteriorated schizos sometimes refuse to move at all. They spend their lives in bed. The disturbance of the regulatory function of the hypothalamus is indicated as the cause. Casual thinking never yields accurate descriptions of metabolic process. Limitations of existing languages of schizophrenia. Alternate doses of LSD-6, the highest yields of automatic obedience. There are other procedures. The subject can be reduced to deep depression by administering large doses of benzedrine for several days. Psychosis can be induced by continual large doses of cocaine, Demerol, or by the abrupt withdrawal of barbiturates after prolonged administration. He can be addicted to dihydroxyheroin and subjected to withdrawal. This compound should be 5 times as addicting as heroin, and the withdrawal potentially severe. There are various psychological methods. Compulsory psychoanalyst, for example. The subject is requested to free associate for an hour every day in cases where time is not of the essence. Now, let's not be negative, boy. Papa can call nasty man. Take walk. The case of a what's up, man? Yeah. What's your name? Dan. What's up, man? The case of a female agent who forgot her real identity and merged with her cover story. She's still a fructose and anexia. Put me on to another gimmick. An agent is trained to deny his agent identity by asserting his cover story. So why not use psychic jujitsu and go along with it? Suggest that this cover story is his identity, and that he has no other. His agent identity becomes unconscious, that is, out of his control, and you can dig it with drugs and hypnosis. You can make a square, hetero citizen queer with this angle. That is, reinforce in second his rejection of normally latent homosexual trends. At the same time, depriving him of cunt and subjecting him to homosex stimulation. Then drugs, hypnosis, and bedway flip to limp wrist. Many subjects are vulnerable to sexual humiliation, nakedness, stimulation with aphrodisiacs, constant supervision to embarrass the subject, and prevent relief of masturbation. Erections during sleep automatically turn on the enormous vibrating electric buzzer that throws the subject out of bed into cold water, thus reducing the incidence of wet dreams to a minimum. Kicks to hypnotize a priest and tell him he is about to consummate a hypostatic union with the lamb. Then steer a randy old sheep up his ass. After that, the interrogator can gain complete hypnotic control. The subject will come at his whistle, shit on the floor, if he but say, open sesame. Needless to say, the sex humiliation angle is contradicted into verbal homosexuals. I mean, let's keep an eye on the ball here, and remember the old party line. Never know who's listening in. I recall this one kid. I conditioned his shit right in front of me. I wash his ass and screw him. It was real nasty. And he was a lovely fella, too. And sometimes the subject will burst into boyish tears because he can't keep from ejaculate when you screw him. Well, as you can plainly see, the possibilities are endless. Crafts and a great, big, beautiful garden. I was just scratching that lovely surface when I am urged by burning boots. Well, Casas de la Vida. I reach Freeland, which is clean and dull. My God, it was directed the RC, the conditioning center. I dropped around it. What happened to so-and-so? What happened to so-and-so? Sets it like CD's ears in the dark. Smithers crude to the senders for a longevity serum. No fool like an old queen. Lester Stroganoff El Hassan turned himself into a Lata, trying to perfect AOP, automatic obedience processing. A martyr to the industry. Lata is a condition occurring in Southeast Asia. Otherwise sane Latas compulsively imitate every motion once their attention is attracted by snapping the fingers or calling sharply. A form of compulsive involuntary hypnosis. They sometimes injure themselves trying to imitate the motions of several people at once. Stop me if you've heard this atomic secret. Midway's face returns its form in the flashbulb of urgency. Equal cleavage or metamorphosis that flickers like a picture moving in and out of focus. Come on, says Medway, and I'll show you around the RC. We are walking down a long white hall. Medway's voice drifts into my consciousness from no particular place. A disembodied voice that is sometimes loud and clear, sometimes barely audible, like music down a dusty street, like music down a windy street. Isolated groups like natives of the Bismarck archipelago. No overt homosexuality among them. Goddamn matriarchy. All matriarchs anti-homosexual conformism. Saying, find yourself in a matriarchy. Walk, don't run to the nearest frontier. If you run, some frustrated lady queer cop will likely shoot you. So somebody wants to establish a benchhead homogeneity in the shambles of potentials like West Europe or USA. Motherfucking matriarchy. Margaret Mead notwithstanding. Spot of Spot a brother there, scalpel fight with a colleague in the operating room. And my baboon assistant, to the patent, torn to pieces. Baboons always attack the weakest party at an altercation. Quite right, too. We must never forget our glorious Samian heritage. Doc Braubeck was party in a second part, a retired abortionist and junk pusher. He was a veterinarian, actually. Recalled to service during the manpower shortage. Doc had been in the hospital kitchen all morning, goosing the nurses, tanking up on coal gas and clip. And just before the operation, he sneaked a double shot of nutmeg to nerve himself up. In England, and especially in Edinburgh, citizens bubble coal gas through clip, a horrible form of powder tasting like rancid chalk and pick up on the results. He locked everything to pay the gas bill. When the man comes around to shut it off for the non-payment, you can hear their screams for miles. When a citizen is sick from needing it, he says, "I've got the clinks," or "that old stove climbing up my back." Nutmeg. I quote from the author's article on narcotic drugs in the British Journal of Addiction. See appendix. Convicts and sailors sometimes have recourse to nutmeg. About a tablespoon swallowed with water. Results vaguely similar to marijuana, with side effects of headache and nausea. There are a number of narcotics of the nutmeg family in use among the Indians of South America. They are usually administered by sniffing a dried powder of the plant. The medicine men take these noxious substances and go into convulsive states. Their twitchings and mutterings are thought to have prophetic significance. I had a yash hangover, and in no condition to take any Browick shit. First thing he comes on with, I should start the incision from the back instead of the front, muttering some nonsense about being sure to cut out the gallbladder. It would fuck up the meat. Thought he was on the farm cleaning a chicken. I told him to go put his head back in the oven, whereupon he had the effrontery to push my hand, severing the patient's femoral artery. Blood spurted up, blinded who ran out through the hall screaming. Braubeck tried to knee me in the groin, and I managed to hamstring him with my scalpel. He crawled about the floor, stabbing at my feet and legs. Violent. That's my baboon assistant. Only woman I ever cared a damn about. Really wigged. I climbed up on the table and poised myself to jump on Braubeck with both feet and stomp him when the cops rush in. Well, struggle in the operating room. This unspeakable occurrence, as the super called it. You might say was the blow-off. The wolf pack was closing for the kill. The crucifixion. That's the only word for it. Of course, I'd make a few dumb hits here and there. Who hasn't? There was the time me and the anesthetist drank up all the ether, and the patient came up on us, and I was accused of cutting the cocaine with Santa Flush. Violet did it, actually. Had to protect her, of course. So the wind-up is we're all drummed out of the industry. Not that Violet has a bona fide croaker, neither was Braubeck for the matter. And even my own certificate was called into question. But Violet knows more medicine than the Mayo Clinic. She has an extraordinary intuition and a high sense of duty. So there I was, flat on my ass with no certificate. Should I turn to another trade? No. Doctoring was in my blood. I managed to keep up my habits, performing nutrient abortions in subway toilets. I even descended to hustling pregnant women in the public streets. It was positively unethical. Then I met a great guy, Placenta Juan, the afterbirth tycoon. Made his in slunks during the war. Slunks are underage calves training afterbirths and bacteria, generally in the unsanitary and unfit condition. A calf may not be sold as food until it reaches a minimum age of 6 weeks. Prior to that time, it is classified as a slunk. Slum trafficking is subject to a heavy penalty. While Juanito controlled the fleet of cargo boats, he registered under the Abyssinian flag to avoid bothersome restrictions. He gave me a job as a ship's doctor on the SS Pillbox. as filthy a craft as ever sailed the seas, operating with one hand, beating the rats off of my patient with the other, and bedbugs and scorpions rained down from the ceiling. So somebody wants homogeneity at this juncture. Bored with the whole project, mate. Here we are, Drug Alley. Benway traces a pattern in the air with his hands and the door swings open. We step through and the door closes. A long ward gleaming with stainless steel, white tile floors, glass brick walls, beds along one wall. No one smokes, no one reads, no one talks. Come on, take a close look, says Benway. You won't embarrass anybody. I walk over and stand in front of a man who is sitting on his bed. I look at the man's eyes. Nobody. Nothing looks back. I indeed, says Benway. Irreversible neural damage. Over-liberated, you might say. A drag on the industry. I pass a hand in front of a man's eyes. Yes, says Benway. They still have reflexes. Watch this. Benway takes a chocolate bar from his pocket, removes the wrapper, and holds it in front of the man's nose. The man sniffs. His jaws begin to work. He makes snatching motions with his hands. Saliva drops from his mouth and hangs off his chin in long streamers. His stomach rumbles. His whole body reeks of stalysis. Benway steps back and holds up the chocolate. The man drops to his knees, throws back his head, and barks. Benway tosses the chocolate. The man snaps at it, hisses, scrambles around the floor, making slobbering noises. He crawls under the bed, finds the chocolate, and crams it into his mouth with both hands. Jesus, these ICs got no glass to them. Benway calls over the attendant, who was sitting at the end of the ward reading a book of J.M. Barr's Place. Get these fucking IDs out of here. It's bringing me down already. Bad for the tourist business. What should I do with them? How the fuck should I know? I'm a scientist, a pure scientist. Just get them out of here. I don't have to look at them at all. They constitute an albatross. But what? Where? Proper channels, buzz the district coordinator, or whatever he calls himself. New title every week. Doubt if he exists. Dr. Benway pauses at the door and looks back at the IMDs. Our failure, he said, well, it's all in the day's work. Do they ever come back? They don't come back. Won't come back once they're gone. Benway sings softly. Now this ward has some interest. The patients stand in groups talking and spitting on the floor. Jug hangs in the air. Want to read some? You're good. The patients stand in groups talking and spitting on the floor. Jug hangs in the air like a gray haze. A heartwarming sight, says Benway. Those junkies standing around waiting for the man. 6 months ago, they were all schizophrenic. Some of them had been out for years. Now look at them. In all the course of my practices, I'd never seen a schizophrenic junkie. And junkies are mostly the schizo-physical type. Want to cure anybody of anything. Find out who doesn't have it. So who don't got it? Junkies don't got it. Oh, incidentally, there's an area in Bolivia with no psychosis. Right sane folk in them hills. Like to get in there, me, before it is loused up by literary advertising, TV, and drive-ins. Make a study strictly from the metabolism, diet, use of drugs and alcohol, sex, etc. Who cares what they think? Some nonsense, everybody thinks, I dare say. And why not junkies? That's schizophrenia. Don't know yet. A schizophrenic can ignore hunger and starve to death if he doesn't feed. No one can ignore heroin withdrawal. The fact of addiction imposes contract. But that's only one angle. Mescaline, LSD-6, deteriorated adrenaline, harmaline, can produce an approximate schizophrenia. The best stuff is extracted from the blood of psychos. Of schizophrenia is likely a drug psychosis. They get a metabolic connection. A man within, you might say, interested readers are referred to the appendix. In the terminal stage of schizophrenia, the back brain is permanently depressed, and the front brain is almost without contents, as the front brain is only active in response to back brain stimulation. Morphine calls forth the antidote of back brain stimulation similar to schizo substance. No similarity between withdrawal symptom and intoxication with yaws and LSD-6. Eventual result of junk use is especially true of heroin addiction, where large doses are available to the addict. It's permanent back brain depression in a state much like terminal schizophrenia. Complete lack of effect autism, virtual absence of cerebral event. The addict can spend 8 hours looking at a wall. He is conscious of his surroundings, but they have no emotional connection, and in consequence, no interest. Remembering a period of heavy addiction is like playing back a tape recording of events experienced by the front brain alone. Flat statements of brain alone. Flat statements of eternal events. I went to the store and bought some brown sugar. I came home and ate half of the box. I took a 3-grain shot, etc. Complete absence of nostalgia at these memories. However, as soon as junk intake falls below and withdrawal substance floods the body, if all pleasure is relieved from tension, junk affords relief from the whole life process, disconnecting the hypothalamus, which is the center of psychic energy and libido. Some of my learned colleagues, nameless assholes, have suggested that junk derives its euphoric effect from direct stimulation of the orgasm center. It seems more probable that junk suspends the whole cycle of tension, discharge, and rent. The orgasm has no function in the junkie. Boredom, which always indicates an undischarged tension, never troubles the addict. He can look at his shoe for 8 hours. He is only roused into action when the hourglass of junk runs out. At the far end of the ward, an attendant throws up an iron shutter and lets out a hog call. The junkies rush up, grunting and squealing. Wise guy, says Benway. No respect for human dignity. Now I'll show you the mild deviant and criminal ward. Yes, the criminal is a mild deviant here. He doesn't deny the free land contract. He merely seeks to circumvent some of the clauses. Reprehensible, but not too serious. Down this hall, we'll skip Ward 26, 86, 57, and 97. In the laboratory, are homosexuals classed as deviants? No. Remember the Bismarck Archipelago? No overt homosexuality. A functioning police state needs no police. Homosexuality does not occur to anyone as conceivable behavior. Homosexuality is a political crime. Want to read?
Patriarchy. No society tolerates over rejection of its basic tenets. We are in a matriarchy here. Inshallah, you know the experiment of rats where they are subject to this electric shock and dropped in old water if they so much as move at a female. So they all become fruit rats, and that's the way it is. I skipped the line, didn't I? No, I did. So they all become fruit rats, and that's the way it is with the ideology. Shall such a rat squeak out? You gotta stick the rat.
Love! It or who cuts yours off? You two-hole freak. To wear a square rat, so to speak. During...
Where am I? I wasn't paying attention, Poppy. Rather brief experience as a psychoanalyst spot a brother with the Society 1 patient ran among the Strand Central with a flamethrower. 2 committed suicide, and 1 died on the couch like a jungle rat. Jungle rats are subject to die and confronted suddenly with a hopeless situation. So, his relation to beef, and I tell him, it's all in the day's work. Get this stiff out of you. It's a bring down for my live patients. I noticed that all of my homosexual patients manifested strong, unconsensuous, heterosex trends, and all my hetero patients unconscious homosexual trends. Makes the brain real, don't it?
And what do you conclude from that? Conclude? Nothing whatever. Just a passing observation. We're eating lunch at Benway's office when he gets a call. What's that? Monstrous! Fantastic. Carry on and stand by. He puts down the phone. I am prepared to accept the needed assignment with Islam Incorporated. It seems the electronic brain went berserk playing 6-dimensional chess with a technician of at least every subject in the RC. Leave us adjourned to the roof. Operation Helicopter is indicated.
To the RC, we survey a scene of unparalleled horror. I indeed stand surrounded in front of cafe tables, long steamers of saliva hanging off their chairs, stomachs, noisily churning. Others ejaculate at the sight of women. Loudest imitate the passers-by with monkey-like obscenity. Junkies have located the drugstores and fixed on every street corner. Catatonics decorate the parks. Agitated schizophrenics rush through the streets with mangled, inhuman cries. A group of PRs. Usually recognition here surrounded some homosexual tourists with horrible, knowing smiles, showing the Nordic skull beneath in double exposure. What do you want? Snaps one of the queens. We want to understand you. A contingent of howling psychopaths swing from chandeliers, balconies, and trees, shitting and pissing on passerbys. A sabopath, the technical name for the disorders, escapes me, is a citizen convinced he is an ape or other simian.
Oh, it is a disorder peculiar to the army, and discharge cures it. A monk's trot along cutting off heads, faces sweet and remote with a dreamy half smile. Citizen with incipient. Beggars are clutching penises, calling the doors for help. Arab rioters, yelling, yell, castrating, disemboweling, throw burning gasoline, dancing boys strip cheese with intestines, women sticks at their genitals with their puns, brine, pumped, inflicted at the man of their choice. Religious fanatics harangue the crowd from helicopters and place strong stone tablets on their heads, inscribed with meaningless messages. Leopard men tear people to pieces with iron claws, coughing and grunting. I don't know how to say that. Huh? The Cannibal Society initiates biting off noses and ears. A copperphage calls for a plate, sits on it, and eats the shit, exclaiming, that's my rich substance. Thank you.
Calls for a plate, shits. A battalion of rampant whores prowls the streets and hotel lobbies in search of victims. An intellectual avant-gardist. Of course, the only writing worth considering now is to be found in scientific reports and periodicals. Hello. I am reading a book over here, recording an audiobook. Would you like to contribute to it? Would you like to contribute to it?
Where are you at? His opening words. You look to me like a man of intelligence. Always ominous words, my boy. When you hear them, stay not on order of your going, but go at once. An English colonel, assisted by 5 police boys, has detained the subject at the club bar. I say, do you know Mozambique? And he launches into the endless saga of his malaria. So the doctor said to me, I can only advise you to leave the area, otherwise I shall bury you. This broker does a little under-talking on this side. He's saying out the odds, you might say, and throwing himself a spot of business now and then. So after the third pink gin, when he gets to know you, he shifts into dysentery. Most extraordinary discharge. More or less of a white-yellow color like rancid jism or stricky, you know. An explorer in sun helmet has brought down a citizen with blowgun, a cure dart. He administers artificial respiration with 1 foot.
An explorer in sun helmet has brought down a citizen with blowgun and a dart. He administers artificial respiration with 1 foot, paralyzing the lungs. It has no other toxic effect. It's not strictly speaking a poison. If artificial respiration is administered, the subject will not die. Curare is eliminated. Curare is eliminated with great rapidity by the kidneys. That was the year of the red pest. Everything died, even the hyenas. So there it was, completely out of KY, in the headwaters of the Baboon asshole. When it came through by airdrop, my gratitude was indescribable. As a matter of fact, and I have never told this before to a living soul, elusive blighters. His voice echoes through a vast empty hotel lobby in 1890 style. Red plush, rubber plants, lit in statues. I was the only white man ever initiated into the infamous Agouti Society. Witnessed and participated in their unspeakable rights. The Agouti Society has turned out for a China fiesta. The China of ancient Peru was much given to sodomy and occasionally staged bloody battles to clubs, running up several hundred casualties in the course of an afternoon. The youth sneering and goosing each other with clubs. Troops out to the fields. Now the battle begins, gentle reader. The ugliness of that spectacle buggers description. Who can be a cringing, pissing coward yet vicious as a purple-ass mandrill, alternating these deplorable conditions like vaudeville skits? Who can shit on a fallen adversary who dying eats the shit and screams with joy? Who can hang a weak passive and catch his sperm in mouth like a vicious dog? Gentle reader, I fainted. Would you spare me this? But my pen hath its will, like the ancient reader. Oh Christ, what a shame is this! Can tongue or pen accommodate these sandals? A beastly young hoodlum has gouged out the eyes of his confidant and fucking the brain. His brain atrophy already, dry as a grandmother's cunt. He turns into rock and roll hoodlum, a scorpion gash, a crossword puzzle. What relation to me is the outcome, if the outcome? My father already, or not yet. I can't screw you, Jack. Hello. I can screw you, Jack. He is about to become my father. And better twir you to cut your throat and screw my mother playing it straight than fuck my father and vice versa. Utilus, as the case may be, and cut my mother's throat. That sated gash, and be the best. I know to stem her cord and freeze her asset. I mean, Great Big Daddy, commit the torso job. The two cunts and a brick of steel. And keep your dirty finger out my sugar bomb. What do you think? My purple ass reception already. Fugitive. Give it later. Male and female. Attracted them. You can't distinguish between the sexes. I'll cut your throat, you white motherfucker. Come out in the open like my grandchild and meet my unborn mother. Dubious battle. Confusion. Fuck his masterpiece. I have cut the janitor's throat, quite by mistake of identity. But being such a horrible fuck like an old man, in the coal bin all cocks are alike. I'd like to contribute to the audiobook.
Salivus returned the stricken field. One youth hath fenestrated his comrade, whilst another youth does amputate the proudest part of the cock's quivering bench, so that the visiting member projects to fill the vacuum needing to record ejaculate into the black cocoon, where impatient piranha snap up the child not yet born, nor in view, with certain well-established facts, at all likely.
Another boar carries around a suitcase full of trophies and medals, cups and ribbons. Now this I won. How's it going? Now this I won for the most ingenious sex device contracted Yokohama. And Yokohama. Hold him, he's desperate. The Emperor gave it to me himself, and there were tears in his eyes. The runners all castrated their slaves with harikiki knives. And I won this ribbon for the degeneration contest at the hearing meeting of Junkies Anonymous. Shut up my wife's MS. And her down with a kidney stone big as the Hope Diamond. So I give her half a regimen. Tell her, you can't expect too much relief. Shut up already. I want to enjoy my medications. Stolen opium suppository out of my grandmother's ass. The hydrochondritic pastos the passerby and administers a straitjacket and starts talking about his rotten septum. Awful purulent discharge is subject to flow out. Just wait till you see it. He does a striptease to operation scars, guiding the reluctant fingers of the victim. Feel that super-braided swelling in my groin where I got the lymphoranulus. And now I want you to palpate my internal hemorrhoids. The reference is to phylogranuloma, phlegmatic buboes, a virus venereal disease indigenous to Ethiopia. Not for nothing are we known as filthy Ethiopians. Sneers an Ethiopian mercenary as he sodomizes Pharaoh. Venomous is the king's cobra. Ancient Egyptians papyrus talk all the time about them filthy Ethiopians. So it started in Addis Ababa, like the Jersey bounce. But there are modern times, one world now, the climactic bobos swell up in Shanghai, in Esmeralda's New Orleans, in Helsinki, Seattle, and Cape Town. When the heart turns home and the disease shows a distinct predilection for Negroes. In the fact, the white-haired boy of white supremacists, but the Mau Mau Voodoo men are said to be cooking up real dilly of a VD for the white folks. Not the Caucasians are immune. 5 British sailors contracted the disease in Sanabar and in Dead Goon Country, Arkansas. Blackest dirt, whitest people in the USA. Don't let the sun set you here. The Courtney crooner came down with the Bobos for an act. The vigilante committee of neighbors apologetically burned him to death in the courthouse privy when its interesting condition came to light. Now Clem, just think of yourself as a cow with the aftosa, or paltroon of the foul pest. Don't crowd too close, boys. His intestines is subject to explode in the fire. The disease, in short, hath a gimmick. or going places like uncertain and fortunate viruses, or faded to languish unconstant in the guts of a tick, or a jungle mosquito, or the saliva of a dying jackal slobbering silver under the desert moon. And after an initial lesion to the point of infection, the disease passes to the lymph glands of the groin, swells and bursts in suppurating fissures, drained for days, months, years. Virulent, stringy discharge streaked with blood and putrid limbs. Elephantitis of the genitals is a frequent complication. And cases of grain green have been reported where the amputation in medico of the patient from the waist down was indicated, but hardly worthwhile. Women usually suffered secondary infection of the anus. Males who regain themselves for passive intercourse to inflicted partners, like weak and soon to the purple aspect wounds, may also nourish a little stranger. Initial practice of the inevitable virulent discharge, which may pass unnoticed in the shuffle, is followed by stricture of the rectum, requiring intervention of an apple core or a surgical equivalent, lest the unfortunate patient be reduced to fart and shit in his teeth, giving rise to stubborn cases. Hello. How's it going?
Ryan?
Would you like to contribute to the audiobook?
Oh my god, what?
Would you like to read some?
I can't read.
You can't read? Would you like to read? It's okay.
Treatment is symptomatic, which means in the trade there is none. Now, many cases yield to insensitive therapy with
Trying to get some light. Appreciable percentage remain refractory as mountain gorillas. So boys in his hot licks play over your balls and prick and dart up your ass like an invisible blowtorch. In the words of I.B. Watson, think, stop painting, and start palpitating. And if you palpitate a bubo, draw yourself back in and say, in a cold nasal whine, you think I am interested to contract your horrible old condition. I'm not interested at all. Rock and roll adolescent hoodlums storm the streets of all nations. They rush into the Louvre. They throw acid on the Mona Lisa's face. They open rooms, insane asylums, prisons, water mains, watch air hammers chop the floor with passenger plane lavatories, shoot out lighthouses, file elevator cables in too thin wires, turn sewers into the water supply, throw sharks, stingrays, electric eels, and kangaroo into swimming pools. The kangaroo is a small eel-like fish about 1/4 inch through and 2 inches long, patronizing certain rivers of ill repute of the greater Amazon basin. Dart up your prick or your asshole or a woman's cunt. Hold themselves by sharp spines. With precisely what motivates is not known, since no one has stepped forward to observe the kangaroo's life cycle in situ. The nautical costumes of the Queen Mary. Hello.
Where you at?
Hospitals.
Hospitals in white coats carrying saws and axes and scalpels 3 feet long. Throw paralactics out of iron lungs, mimic their suffocations flopping out on the floor and rolling their eyes up. Administer injections with bicycle pumps. Disconnect artificial kidneys. Saw a woman in half with a 2-man surgical saw. They drive herds of squealing pigs into the curb. They shit on the floor of the United Nations and wipe their ass with treaties, pacts, alliances. By plane, car, horse, camel, elephant, tractor, bicycle, and steamroller, on foot, skis, sled, crutch, and pogo sticks, the tourists storm the frontiers, demanding with inflexible authority asylum from the unspeakable conditions obtaining in free land. The Chamber of Commerce striving in vain to stem the debacle. Pleased to be restful, it is only a few crazies who have from the crazy place outbroken.
You want to keep going?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, thanks, man. Joseletto. And Joseletto, who wrote bad, class-conscious poetry, began to cough. The German doctor made a brief examination, touching Joseletto's ribs with long, delicate fingers. The doctor was also a concert violinist, a mathematician, a chess master, and a doctor in international jurisprudence with licensed practice in laboratories of the Q. The doctor flicked a hard, distant glance across Joseletto's brown chest. He looked into Carl and smiled, uneducated man. Toward without saying words. Hello, would you like to read? Yeah, where are we at?
Alonzo, for the so stupid peasant, we must avoid use of the word, is it not? Otherwise, he shit himself with fear. Coke and spit, they are both nasty words, I think.
He said aloud, "Is it a Garato? These models?" Carl talked to the doctor outside under the narrow arcade, with rain bouncing up from the street against his pant legs, thinking how many people he tell it to. And the stairs, Porsches, lawns, driveways, corridors, and streets of the world there in the doctor's eyes. Stuffy German alcoves, butterfly trays to the ceiling, silent, portentous smell of uremia steeping under the door, suburban lawns, the sound of the water sprinkler in a calm jungle. Under silent wings of the Annapolis mosquito. Note, this is not a figure. Annapolis mosquitoes are silent. Thickly carpeted, discreet nursing home in Kingston. Stiff brocade chair and a cup of tea. The Swedish modern living room with water hydrants in a yellow bowl. Outside the China blue northern sky. And the drifting clouds under bad watercolors of the dying medical student. A schnapps, I think. Frau Underschnitt. The doctor was talking into a phone with a chessboard. In front of him, quite a severe lesion, I think. Of course, without to see the fluoroscope. He picks up the knife and then replaces it thoughtfully. Yes, both lungs, quite definitely. He replaces the receiver and turns to Carl. I have observed these people show amazingly quick wound recovery and low incidence of infection. It is always the lungs here. Phenomena, and of course, Old Faithful. The doctor grabs Carl's cock, leaping into the air with a coarse peasant guffaw. His European smile ignores the misbehavior of a child or an animal. He goes on smoothly in his eerie, unaccentuated, disembodied English. Our Old Faithful, buckleless cock. The doctor clicks his heels and bows his head. Otherwise, they would multiply their stupid peasant asshole into the sea. Is it not? He shrieks, thrusting his face into Carl's. Carl retreats sideways with the gray wall of rain behind him. Isn't there some place where he can be treated? I think there is some sort of sanatorium. He drags out the word with ambiguous obscenity. Up at the district capitol, I will write for you the address. Chemical therapy? His voice falls flat and heavy in the damp air. Who could say? They are all stupid peasants, and the worst of all peasants are the so-called educated. These people should not only be prevented from learning to read, but from learning to talk as well. No need to prevent them from thinking. Nature has done that. Here is the address, the doctor whispered without moving his lips. He dropped the pill of paper into Carl's hand. His dirty fingers, shiny over the dirt, rested on Carl's sleeve. There is a matter of my fee. Carl slipped him a wadding banknote, and the doctor faded to a gray twilight, seedy and furtive as an old junkie. Carl saw Joselito in a big clean room full of light, with private bath and concrete balcony, and nothing to talk about there in the cold, empty room, where just a growing... Hello?
Can you have a photo?
Yeah, of course. Should I keep reading? Keep reading? All right. I see the growing and the yellow flick, the China blue sky, and drifting clouds, fear flickering in and out of their eyes. It's smiled away at a little piece of light, lurked enigmatically in the high corners of the room. And what could I say? Feeling death around me, and little broken images that come before sleep, and are in the mind. Oh yeah, of course. In the mind. They will send me to a new sanatorium tomorrow. Come and visit me. I will be there alone. He coughed and took. Doctor, I understand that as I have been given to understand. I have read to be heard. Not medical man myself. Don't pretend to be there. Because the sanatorium treatment has been more or less supplanted, or at least very definitely supplemented by chemical therapy. Is this accurate in your opinion? What I mean to say is, doctor, please tell me, in all sincerity, as one human being to another, what is your opinion of chemical versus sanatorium therapy? Are you a partisan? The doctor's liver, sick Indian face was blank as a dealer's, completely modern, as you can see. He gestures towards the room with the purple fingers of bad circulation. Back water, flowers, the lot. He finished in Cockney English with a triumphant smirk. I will write for you a letter. This letter for the sanitarium. The doctor was speaking from a land of black rocks, a great iridescent brown lagoons. The furniture, modern and comfortable. You find it, so of course. Carl could not see the sanatorium owing to a false front. So that when you come out, your shit is gone. 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 I'm in your area. I'm in your area. I'm in your area. I'm in your area. I know the first numbers. Completely modern as you are, he gestures towards the room with the purple fingers of bad circulation. Bathwater, flowers, the lot. He finished in Cockney English with a triumphant smirk. I will write you a letter. This letter for the sanatorium. The doctor was speaking from a land of black rocks. Great iridescent. Carl could not see the sanatorium owing to a false front of green stucco topped by an intricate neon sign dead with sinister against the sky. Waiting for darkness, the sanatorium was evidently built on a great limestone, which flowering trees and fine tendrils broke in waves. The smell of flowers was heavy in the air. The commandant sat in a long trestle underneath a vine trellis. He was doing absolutely nothing. He took the letter that Carl handed him and whispered through it, reading his lips with his left hand. The Dominican tops the table with one finger and hums, coming through the ride, far away. And urgently near the foghorn a split second before the grinding crash. Carl pulled a note half out of the trouser pocket. They were standing by a vast panel of lockers and deposit boxes. He looked at Carl, sick animal eyes, gone out, dying inside, hopeless fear reflecting the face of death. The smell of flowers and no half out of his pocket. The weakness hit Carl, shuddering of his breath, stopping his blood. He was in a great coma, spinning down to a black point. Chemical therapy? The scream shot out of his flesh through empty locker rooms and barracks, rusty resort hotels, and spectral coughing corridors of TV sanatoriums. Buttering pocket. Great dishwater, smell of flop houses, old men's homes, great dusty custom sheds and warehouses. Through broken windows and smeared arabesques into urinals worn paper thin by the urine of a million fairies, deserted weed-growing privies with a musty smell of shit turning back to the soil, erect wooden phalluses on the grave of dying peoples, plenitive of leaves as the wind, across the great brown river where whole trees float with green snakes and the branches of sad-eyed lemurs. What's up, man?
18 naked cowboys in the showers at Ram Ranch. Big armed long cocks wanting to be sucked. 18 naked cowboys wanting to be fucked. Cowboys in the showers at Ram Ranch on their knees wanting to suck cowboy cock. Ram Ranch really rocks.
I could get back my deposit, start a little business someplace. He nods and smiles like a mechanical toy. Gelato, boys look up from the street ball games. Bulls ring and bicycle races as the name whistles by, slowly fades away. What's up, man? Gelato Paco Pepe. Hello. How's it going?
I have no clue what you're doing here.
I'm recording an audiobook at the Death Grips concert.
Oh, that's very cool. What are you reading?
Naked Lunch by William Burroughs.
Is that an old one?
It is a pretty old one.
I'm very uncultured.
Oh, you're good, man. It's from the
What's your name?
50s, I think. Max.
No, really?
Yeah.
I'm Max.
Oh, you're Max? Oh, shit.
Yeah.
No way. Hell
I
yeah.
have not met another Max in like 10 years.
Damn, yeah, it's fate, man.
So were you reading in there the whole time?
I was in there the whole time, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You think you got the levels right?
I have no idea what it sounds like, but we'll see once I play it. If it's blown out, then sure, it'll be funny.
Is this like an art project, or are you actually like hosting this somewhere?
No, I'm not hosting any. I'm a writer, so like this is just I post like YouTube videos, like clickbaity YouTube videos to lead people to my writing.
Oh, that's
usually,
cool.
so yeah.
Writing as in like novels?
Yeah, I'm a novelist.
Oh,
yeah.
Very cool. Do you have like a YouTuber anywhere?
Yeah. You can find me on YouTube or Instagram too, if you're on that.
I'd be happy to learn more about your stuff, but that also looks like the nicest mic I saw in there.
The YouTube channel is Mick Bussy, MCBUSSY.
Oh, like straight up bussy.
Yeah, straight up. But it's just MC, like Mick Flurry.
Oh.
But yeah.
Now that's a classy name right there.
Of course, man. My publishing company is McBussy Publishing.
Wow. Okay then.
Yeah, dude.
Huh.
Only the best.
Yeah, it looks wonderful.
Yeah,